Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Hedera and HBAR. So let's just dive in and let's start off with this tweet here from Stater. So we are seeing innovative tokenization opportunities arise as Arcix Exchange and Aberdeen leverage Hedera to represent their institutional grade assets. The future of digital assets looks promising with such groundbreaking tech. And here you guys have the actual announcement from Arcix Exchange, creating a token representation on Hedera of our interest in such an institutional grade vehicle opens up all sorts of interesting opportunities in the digital asset space. And this is on Tokenization with Aberdeen's flagship multi-billion-dollar money market fund. This is very large, very big deal. I've been talking to you guys about tokenization for a very long time. It's a huge area of interest, right? You know, if you take a step back, you look at tokenization, it's going to be such a large market in the next couple 5-10 years, if you will. And when we look at that, right, like there's so many valuations that get thrown around from the World Economic Forum, from Swift, from Citi, you name it, right? But I don't think anybody realizes how much money there will actually be within this market around tokenized valuations. Anything of value will be tokenized. And I've even said it, like anything that does have value will most likely be on chain. Now it's going to take some time, you know, in the next, I'll say 2 decades, right? 20 years from now, you know, we're going to look back on this market and say, wow, we were so damn early. You know, if you are looking at the tech around this space and the names that are in the tokenization game, which there's a vast majority of them, only the ones that are working with some of these names like Aberdeen, for an example, are going to be the ones that are very successful in the future, because these are legitimate companies that have been around forever, that have hundreds of billions of dollars already in assets. It's the same reason why I say, you know, look at some of the companies in the space and then look at some of the companies in this space that are just saying, hey, we're doing this, but it's all hype. There's no substance here. With Hedera, we already have so much substance, especially around the tokenized game. As we look at this announcement from Arcix, there's a few things that jump out to me. One, if we actually look at the announcement itself, this is centered out on money market funds. You probably heard me talking about money market funds on this channel in the past. It's because they are such a vast market. For an example, I've made the argument that there's a ton of liquidity out there, especially in the US, when we look at money market funds. There is $5.7 trillion in these money market funds. This is a ton of money. And these funds continue to grow year over year over year. And sometimes it does take a pause. For an example, here's it topping out in Q4 of 2001. It didn't bottom until about roughly 2005. But as you guys do see, look at that drastic melt up in 2008. Kind of seeing the same thing happening here from 2018 all the way to 2020. And here we are in, of course, 2023. Money market funds are a very large area around financial assets. And I think that this is great to see tokenization hitting some of these areas of interest. I think that this is a great initiative. And again, this is centered out on Hedera technology. And I think that this is a huge opportunity. I think that this is going to be a very large innovation as well. Almost any financial asset out there will be tokenized, like I said. And what do you see over here? Arcix tokenizes investment in Aberdeen, multi-billion-dollar money market fund, bridges traditional instrument into crypto/digital world. Very interesting. But you see, Arcix, the FCA regulated digital asset exchange broker and custodian, today announced that it has created a tokenized representation of its interest in the Aberdeen Standard Liquidity Fund, Sterling Fund, Aberdeen's flagship multi-billion money market fund, leveraging the Hedera Hashgraph DLT, of which Aberdeen is a governing council member. Building on the investment Aberdeen made into Arcix as part of its $28.5 million Series A fundraising round last year, and leveraging Arcix's recently announced tokenization engine, that this represents the first step towards a number of traditional real-world tokenization projects that the parties are working on together. We made the investment into Arcix because we see the future for financial markets lies within leveraging new technologies such as Web 3.0 and DLT. It is exciting to see a tangible application of Arcix's tokenization engine working with Hedera, and it paves the way for us to look at creating other digital blockchain-based token investment solutions. Creating a token representation of our interest in such a traditional and institutional grade vehicle opens up all sorts of interesting opportunities in the digital asset space. We are exploring other applications with Aberdeen to improve access to investment products in this space in the near future. We are excited to be working on this with Aberdeen, and we also have projects underway with a number of other traditional financial institutions to leverage the opportunities that Web 3.0 and tokenization present. And yeah, I mean, this is a big deal. And if we actually look at Arcix, they do have plans to launch an MTF and crypto exchange in Q2 of this year. So far, they've been a big leader around a lot of things within crypto, tokenization, institutional grade tokenization, and digital asset custodian solutions and things like that. Also, by the way, they're already working with DLA Piper. Big deal, because DLA Piper is working also with Hedera Medico for custody solution on IBM Cloud. We already know that Medico just recently got acquired by Ripple. Big stuff happening here with Arcix. So, pay attention to this one. They're a big deal. And also, if we do scroll down here, we can see our investors. Aberdeen is the number one investor here. And then after that, it does go in alphabetical order, by the way. I'm not just saying like, hey, number one investor. No, I'm just saying like they are the first one on the list. And then after that, we see so many other major players around this as well. And then tokenizers and issuance, some pretty large names. Securitize has been one that I've been focused on for a while around tokenization. We also do see Polymath, big deal. And then also Securities on here with Propine or Propine, however you guys want to pronounce that. They're working with Zinfin, actually. Some big stuff happening here. And then, of course, our technology partners, R3 being a big one. Medico, like I said. Algorand also on here as well. And then down here, services and industry groups. We do see DLA Piper being a big one. UCL also working with Hedera closely. So some great names tied to this. Love to see it. Again, a lot of these leaders like Arcix and Aberdeen that are jumping into the tokenization game, trying to bridge that world of traditional finance and the world of crypto and digital. Definitely are going to be leaders in the future. Like I said, this is happening in real time. It's happening very fast. So it's either you pay attention or you don't, and you get left behind. And also over here, what is real world asset tokenization and why it could be worth trillions? This is what I mean. Like a lot of these documents that we see from some major players out there, they always mention trillions of dollars in tokenization. And this article is actually quoting that. They're quoting Citi on how Citi said $4 to $5 trillion by 2030. Again, these are rough estimates. We don't know what tokenization is going to look like in the next 3, 5, 7 years, right? By 2030, we have no idea how much tokenization will be worth, but I will say this. If we take a step back and we actually look at tokenization right now, there's a lot happening. And even the World Economic Forum has predicted like tokenization could very well disrupt $867 trillion worth in traditional markets. And this is due to tokenization, like tokenization of stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, even currencies like fiat currencies. I mean, it's a big deal, and it's so hard to predict what value tokenization will have in the next 7 years. But I will say this: I do think at first we will see a lot of tokenization happening within smaller areas. I've talked about this even with trade finance with Zinfin. I think that at first we will see smaller areas of interest getting tokenized. And then all at once, we will start to see large amounts of money being tokenized. It all starts with a little bit of, just testing the waters. And testing of the waters could be billions of dollars. I know to some people, like they think billions of dollars means a lot, but for the, world of finance, I mean, look at some of these valuations on some of these markets. I mean, there's a lot of money out there. And I do think almost all of this, if not all of it, will be tokenized at some point in time. The big deal is, how long do you have to wait for this? In my opinion, valuations on some of these tokens like HBAR, for an example, that will happen gradually and in short term and long term. But the long term looks beautiful for this market. And the reason why I say that is because I know, that crypto is the future. It's inevitable that we will see digitization and tokenization as a whole at a mass scale. And I think that's going to come from names like Swift, for an example, which if you guys haven't been paying attention, like Chainlink, which just completely got destroyed in value, which I'm surprised by because, again, you guys know me, I love Chainlink. They're working closely with Swift still. And what's wild is that recently we seen an announcement from Swift that they're testing solutions. You know, they're testing solutions on tokenization and tokenized valuations and things like that. For an example, Swift, the global interbank messaging system that processes nearly $5 trillion in daily volume, said it is working with banking partners worldwide to trial cross-chain tokenized asset transfers. This is with CCIP, with Chainlink. There's a few other players tied to this as well. But I'm very excited for this. I think that this is great to see Swift really taking the initiative here. Again, if you look at what's happening, if you take a step back and see that the future is not Ethereum, right? Like almost all of these major articles that are talking about what Swift is doing, you always see them mentioning Ethereum, right? Like more institutions are beginning to explore how to serve customers on both permission and public blockchain networks like Ethereum. It's from the head of security strategy at Swift. Now, listen, I've said it. I've said it every single time that I talk about the future of this market. A lot of people love Ethereum. I have no idea why people love Ethereum. Let's look at it like this. Would you rather have a flat screen TV or would you rather have a box TV that is only black and white? You would want the HD TV. You would want the highest quality TV, especially if you were into TVs. Well, here you have companies that are into moving money fast. They want to tokenize money at a cheap price. They don't want to pay an absurd cost. They want things to be extremely fast, you know, things like that, right? So if we look at that, why would they choose Ethereum? They're not. A lot of these articles, I feel as though they are, how should I say it? They're manipulating the general public into believing that Ethereum is the chosen one or Ethereum is the one. But it's just not. And we've seen this proven many times in the past that it's not Ethereum. You know, when we look at the future of this market, it's going to be centered out on DLT that is extremely efficient, sustainable, cost effective, extremely secure. They don't want to deal with inefficiencies because Swift is already inefficient as we look at it right now for payments. They want to upgrade. They don't want to downgrade. And Ethereum, I hate to break it to you guys, it would be a downgrade. So that's why I do think that the future lies within Hedera, Casper, XRP, you name it, right? The ones that are extremely fast to move, settle, and could ultimately be, you know, future rails of a lot of these payment giants like Swift. But also, over here from Red Swan CRE, building its token studio on Hedera. This is from the Tokenizer website. What do you see? Last year, Boston Consulting Group, BCG, predicted that $16 trillion in assets could be tokenized by 2030. Again, all of these valuations getting hit all at once around what could happen. You know, $16 trillion, $4 to $5 trillion, $27 trillion. We don't know. Nobody knows. And I think that a lot of these predictions are perfect examples of just proof that nobody knows. You know, we're seeing a lot of these names like Citi predicting it, Swift predicting it, the World Economic Forum predicting it, the BCG, which is comprised of major names like JP Morgan, Citi, Goldman Sachs. They're all trying to identify what the value could be. But honestly, if we look at tokenization, it could happen rapidly. It could happen slowly. We don't know how fast it's going to happen. But once it does, I want you guys to understand that you want to be prepared, because if we look at real estate, $300 trillion market, derivatives, $600 trillion market, all of these areas that have massive amounts of money tied to them. Yeah, when they start to get tokenized, it's going to be a big deal. And I do think that Red Swan CRE, which is a commercial real estate company that already has $5 billion in assets under management, well, they're using Hedera for real world asset tokenization of real estate. And I said it, right? Like these markets that are ripe for disruption, real estate is a market that needs tokenization. It needs tokenization because real estate is so fragmented. There's a lot of problems tied to the real estate market. It's a very slow market, inefficient market. When we talk about, transactions and the actual process of, buying real estate, selling real estate, dealing in real estate, there's a lot of inefficiencies around it. It's the same thing with trade finance on how you have paper documentation, a lack of liquidity. Crypto and a lot of these networks that are in the tokenization game around real estate, they're changing the world around these areas, especially real estate, that is opening the door for increased liquidity, fairer market prices, and also a reduction in management fees. Digitization of the paper documentation area as well. That's a big deal because, again, it makes everything a lot more efficient. It streamlines the entire process. This is also why I said businesses that are going to digitize their workflows, which I said it around ServiceNow with Hedera, that's a big game changer. So with all that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join for Discord in the description below. So that you all have a beautiful day, or a beautiful night, wherever you guys are on this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.